Back when Congresswoman Frederica Wilson announced her retirement earlier this month, it set off a mad scramble to replace her. Some of the candidates were, well, no really big shock there. It was widely known, for instance, that both County Commissioner Oliver Gilbert and State Senator Chevron Jones were keen on running. But one name that did seem to catch people by surprise was Kendrick Meek Jr., the grandson of former Congresswoman Carrie Meek and the son of former Congressman Kendrick Meek. And Kendrick Meek Jr. joins us now. Kendrick, thank you for coming in.
Good to be here with you.
So I always like to ask candidates one simple question to begin with. Why are you running?
I'm running because I was born and raised in this community and I care about this community. And for too long, I've seen the folks that built this community can't afford to live here anymore. So we're running to lower costs, expand affordability for working families, and to make sure that their voices are heard in Washington.
So tell folks a little bit about yourself. You're 29 years old, you're an attorney, you graduated from Law, you went to University of Florida. What else do they should know about you?
Well, I have plenty of federal policy experience. I worked on Capitol Hill at the House Administration Committee and the House Judiciary Committee. I worked at the Biden White House to cap costs and prescriptions for our seniors and Medicare recipients, and I want to continue that reputation in Washington on their behalf.
All right, so let's talk about the 800-pound gorilla, which is the perception that you're trading on your family's name to sort of run for this position. You know, you're going to be on the ballot, not as Kendrick Meek Jr., but as Kendrick Meek. Talk to me about why you think why this perception is wrong in your opinion.
Well, I'm not just running on my name, I'm running on my reputation. Again, I have plenty of federal policy experience. I spent many years in Washington working on federal legislation. No one else in this race can say that. And again, for folks that want to make this race about my name or my family or my legacy, they're not focusing on the issues, and this race should be about the issues.
You know, when Congresswoman Wilson just endorsed Oliver Gilbert, she said this in her endorsement announcement: "It's not a job for a neophyte, it's a job for experience. You have to hit the ground running." She seemed to be talking about you, referring to you as a neophyte. What was your reaction to Congresswoman Wilson endorsing Oliver Gilbert and her statement that this is a job for someone with experience, not a neophyte?
Well, again, I'm the only kid in this race that has federal policy experience. I want to make that clear to the public. The Congresswoman, I've known her for a very long time. I'm very respectful of her legacy and the work that she's done in Washington, but it's time for a new generation of leadership that understands the needs of this community and is willing to fight for them in Washington. That's what this campaign is all about. And again, you know, the comments about really just playground comments about who I am or who they think I am isn't going to be the focus of this campaign. My focus is going to be speaking to voters. It's going to be learning about the issues that face them on a daily basis and making sure their voices are heard in Washington.
Look, as I said, you're young, you're 29 years old. Why don't you run for something more modest than running for Congress? Why not running for a city council or a county commission seat even? Why Congress?
Well, again, it's just about the urgency of this moment. And for too long, we elected the same leaders and we keep expecting different results. And we can't afford to wait another 10, 15 years for new leadership in Washington. We need it now. And again, that's why this moment is so important. That's why I'm running now. That's why I'm running for Congress. And believe me, a lot of the stuff that's happening on the state and local level, the federal government can intervene and say, no, we're going to do the right thing because we have the right leadership in charge.
But I guess experience is an important factor. I mean, I had to look it up, so I double checked. Your grandmother served 3 years in the Florida House and 10 years in the Florida Senate before she ran for Congress. Your father served 8 years in the Florida House and Florida Senate before he ran for Congress. Is that not the right path?
Well, I mean, I think it was for the time, but again, this moment demands something different. I think if you look at Orlando, Congressman Maxwell Frost, he ran at the age of 25 and was inaugurated at the age of 26, and he's been a great representative for the people of Central Florida. I hope that I can earn the vote of the people of South Florida to be their best representative in Washington. And again, it takes courage, and it takes a new generation of leadership. It takes young people stepping up to the plate. That's exactly what I'm doing.
I want to get to some issues, but I do want to just sort of ask you, you made an allusion a second ago to the idea that it's time for a new generation, new different voices, not doing the same old thing. Do you think Congresswoman Wilson was effective during her term as a member of Congress?
Again, I think she did a lot for the district. But again, this moment, this particular race, this time that we're in, demands new leadership. And so she's decided that she's going to step down. I'm obviously very respectful of that. And again, I think it speaks to the fact that we just need a new representative in Washington.
All right, I want to talk about some of the issues, but the big news today, we're taping this on Thursday, is the U.S. Supreme Court just announced their ruling that the Trump administration can now end TPS status for both Haitians and Syrians, and in particularly for Haitians, that we could see deportation removal orders and people being picked up and sent out of the country almost immediately. What was your reaction to the Supreme Court decision?
I mean, obviously it's saddening to see this happen. And we know the Trump administration for the past 2 years has been trying to end the TPS program as we know it and send folks back to unsafe conditions, and that's unacceptable. And again, I think that's why we need a representative in Washington who will fight on behalf of Haitians, Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, Hondurans, and El Salvadorians here in South Florida, because they helped build this community. And they deserve to stay here. And so, again, that's why this moment is so important. That's why we need the right leadership in Washington. It's something that my grandmother fought for, my father fought for, to extend TPS and make sure that the people that built this community can stay here.
Do you think Donald Trump is a racist?
Well, look, I'm not focused on Donald Trump. I'm focused on the people of this district. Donald Trump won't be on the ballot in 2026, and hopefully he won't be on the ballot in 2028. But again, we just have to do the right thing. We have to do our part here on the local level to elect folks to Washington to fight for us and fight against the Trump administration's policies.
What do you think the overriding issue in this campaign is going to be?
It's going to be affordability. It's the #1 concern for everyone here in South Florida, particularly young people, particularly our seniors on a fixed income. And second to that, I think, is going to be healthcare. You have a lot of folks that are on the Affordable Care Act but still can't afford their premiums. Republicans have made that harder. They made budget cuts that essentially cut ACA subsidies. I want to extend those ACA subsidies when I get into office, but I also want to make those savings permanent through the Medicare for All program, so that every American can afford to have health care, no matter where they're from, no matter their zip code, no matter their wealth.
So you support a Medicare for All approach?
I do.
Do you consider yourself, that's a Bernie Sanders idea that was popular during his time, do you consider your views to be more in line with Bernie Sanders, for instance, than other candidates? Are you more in the AOC, Bernie Sanders mold than you are with others? Give me a nice sense of where you think you fall politically on the spectrum.
I'm running on my own platform. I'm running on a Kendrick Meek platform, which again is about lowering costs for working families, full stop. Now, we're going to need support from other members of Congress to get that legislation passed. But again, I think it's about electing the right people, not just here in South Florida, but across the country. And that's why this race in South Florida is so important.
I'm curious as to your thoughts. We're at war right now, despite the memorandum of understanding that Donald Trump signed. Do you think the United States is winning or has lost this war with Iran?
Look, it's a war that we shouldn't have been in the first place. We have way too many problems here at home to be sending our men and women to fight abroad. I would only authorize military force if there was an immediate threat to the United States. I don't see that in this situation, and Donald Trump has not asked for congressional approval for his operation in the Middle East. So moving forward, again, we just need to make sure that Congress steps in and says, look, this isn't a priority for us. We have bigger fish to fry, as my grandmother would say, and we need to bring our men and women home.
I'm curious, what is your view? I know Congresswoman Wilson was a major supporter of Israel, supported most, if not all, of the aid packages to Israel. What is your view as it comes to Israel, and particularly as it relates to, I know a lot of folks, younger generation, look at what happened with Israel in terms of Gaza, what's happening in the West Bank, what's happening in Lebanon, and have strong feelings. Where's your views on that?
The violence has to stop. The hostages have to be returned. Civilian rights need to be protected. And until we do that, look, we can't have a conversation about anything else that's happening in that region. And so
would you continue to support aid packages to Israel for buying bombs and armaments and those issues that they're using to execute their war?
I would want to look at it on a case-by-case basis. There are some folks out there that feel like we need to condition aid. There are others that feel like we can still use diplomatic routes to make sure that civilian rights are protected and that folks aren't in harm's way, that don't need to be in harm's way. So we have to assess it on a case-by-case basis. And again, when I get elected, I'm going to basically sit folks down and say, okay, what's the best thing to do in this situation?
If there was one thing that your grandmother, Carrie Meek, taught you, what was it?
If you want to be in public service, you have to love people. Carrie loved people, and look, they loved her in return. And that's the highest honor that any public servant can have. It's something that, it's the same honor that I hope I can earn from the folks in South Florida.
All right, Kendrick Meek Jr., thank you very much.